Now, this is a huge week ahead. You will be part of the induction, Ozzy Osbourne, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about this? It's a big deal.
Terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
It's extremely terrifying.
Are you terrified?
Yeah, this is for him, and his song is out of my range, so I'm going to be struggling to hit the notes. But I got the call, and so I answered.
I'm Allison Hagendorf. America, this is the next. Hello, Times Square.
Hello, Madison Square Garden.
Welcome to X Games Aspen. I'm Allison Hagendorf. I'm the live announcer of the B&E. Welcome to Rock This with Allison Hagendorf.
Yeah, this is Allison Hagendorf.
Hello, my fellow music lovers, and welcome to the Allison Hagendorf Show. Hello, my fellow music lovers, and welcome to the Allison Hagendorf Show. This is where we celebrate the universal love of music, the stories behind the songs, and the humans behind the artists. I'm so glad you're here. We are coming to you from DWP Studios in Los Angeles, and I want to give a shout out to our presenting sponsor, Cloudwater, which I love, and they help make the show possible along with you. Your support means the world to me. Thank you for watching, listening, and subscribing. Today's guest is Maynard James Keenan, frontman for the bands Tool, A Perfect Circle, and Puscifer. He is a winemaker and owner of multiple vineyards and restaurants. He's also a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and owns the Verde Valley Martial Arts Studio. The man is bionic, and I am elated he is here. We will talk all about getting ready to help induct Ozzy Osbourne into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the opening of his latest venture, Queen Bee Vinyl Cafe, how working in vineyards is actually in his blood, his 60th celebration of Sessanta version 2.0, new music, and how he was almost in Rage Against the Machine. We'll be back with Maynard James Keenan right here in the studio. One thing about me is that I work hard and play hard, and this functionally fun box from Cloudwater helps me do that. These are my people. Listen to what it says inside. The world would be a better place if fun people lived forever. Yes, I subscribe to this. I feel seen. Inside, we have organic caffeine, we have daily defense, immunity, and CBD, which I imbibe every single afternoon. I think you'll enjoy this. Go to cloudwaterbrands.com, use my code Allison30 for 30% off, and let me know what you think. Cheers. My guest today is a personal favorite of mine and is the innovative frontman for the bands Tool, A Perfect Circle, and Puscifer. In addition to his accomplishments in music, he is also a winemaker and owner of several vineyards, including the Merkin Vineyards and Caduceus Cellars Hilltop facility, and now the Queen Bee Vinyl Cafe. He will also be helping to induct Ozzy into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this weekend. Mr. Maynard James Keenan, welcome to the show.
Hey. Hey.
Thank you. Your outfit is gorgeous.
Thank you.
This is. Can you tell me about this?
I'm wearing pants.
Yes. Yeah.
Not often, but today I wore them for you.
Thank you.
Because normally I don't wear pants. This is a jacket.
Yeah, it's a very special jacket.
Over a t-shirt.
Yes. Stunning. It's
It was
very
on-
dapper.
It was at the Target. We just rolled it and grabbed it.
Amazing. Okay. It's just all about the eye, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's
No,
like-
this is it's a Dolce & Gabbana
Yeah.
jacket, a one-off that I was at one of their locations and went, what the fuck is that? And I grabbed it.
Yeah. You're like, that's mine. Thank you so much. Yeah. Now, this is a huge week ahead. You will be part of the induction, Ozzy Osbourne, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about this? It's a big deal.
Terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
It's extremely terrifying.
Are you terrified?
Yeah, this is for him, and his song is out of my range, so I'm going to be struggling to hit the notes. But I got the call, and so I answered.
And you will also be participating with a bunch of other artists as well.
Yeah.
Have you guys practiced? Like, what is sort of what goes into this?
Rehearsing in a couple days.
Okay.
Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah.
I feel like you're in fighting shape. Like, I feel like you're ready to go.
I don't know. Yeah, we're going to find out.
Well, I think this is so cool and very full circle moment because, of course, I know that the Black Sabbath debut album was a seminal album for you. Mm-hmm. So is this sort of like one of those moments you're like, this is a very symbolic night?
Yeah, I mean, it's for being honest, it's mixed feelings, right? Because this is I'm having to come in and a couple other people are coming in to sing for him, which is depressing.
Yeah.
To have to sing for him, but that we're able to step up and help him in this induction is inspiring. I'm glad I got the call.
Yeah.
I'm sure a bunch of people got the call, but I think I responded first. So.
Well, but Ozzy does love you. He said something he said that Maynard has been a true family friend since 1997. He's such a creative force. There are few artists who can keep 3 successful bands going for multiple decades, which is true. It sounds like you guys have a special relationship.
You sure Jack didn't say that?
I mean, it's possible.
Yeah.
Are you close with Jack?
I was, yeah. I haven't talked to him for a while, but.
This is special. I'm so excited about it. And it's also a busy time for you because this will be a huge evening, and I know everyone's waiting to see it. But then we were also talking about you have the opening of the Queen Bee Vinyl Cafe coming up.
Yeah, coming up. It's a lot of little delays in the kitchen because it's a full menu. Basically, it's my wife's baby. It's a new and used vinyl store. We have a barber on site, the barber with in the form of Frank. And we have, I just got the photo. We're setting up this, direct printer so you can actually do one-off t-shirt printing.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's, that, and she has, I'm involved in the other side of the building, which is the coffee roasting. So I've been working on we picked up a Loring Nighthawk 7, which is a beautiful 7-kilo machine. It's programmable, and so I've been going down the rabbit hole for the last month on that, trying to learn how to make sure that works. And there's a full kitchen going in, full menu, and that's where the hang up is, because when it comes to construction, and contractors and the city and all that kind of stuff.
It happens, though.
We bought the building, and it turned out that the room we were going to put the kitchen in wasn't quite up to snuff.
Understood.
The plumbing wasn't quite there.
Yeah.
So now we're way over budget.
Okay.
And but it'll come along. My assumption is that by the end of the month we'll be
Okay, that's good.
fully
Okay, that's promising. Yeah. It just feels like it's going to be like this really cool cultural experience where it's like
because we were
comedy and
it existed up in Jerome at the big building up there, but it made more sense for us to own the building rather than pay rent and extra parking in Cottonwood. So
yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I think it's so cool that you and Jen do all of this together. That speaks volumes about your dynamic. What's special about your relationship that allows you to be so prolific together?
Well, it's about respecting boundaries, and sometimes you have to disrespect the boundaries. She had it all kind of laid out, and I'm a super, Rain Man when it comes to like feng shui and layout.
Yeah.
And so I kind of crossed the line. I went in when she was gone. I went, "Come on, Ray, we're gonna rearrange this shit. Put it over this way."
And
then,
did you
and
feel
then ran out
her
of the
wrath?
building,
What
and then,
was
like,
the result?
Honey, don't get mad. I moved your shit. But she saw the wisdom in it. Thank God, because the traffic flow in a space like that. You know what it's like when you went to the old school record stores.
Of course.
You want to get lost in the maze,
Yes.
but comfortably lost in the maze of records,
Yeah.
right? Without bumping somebody's ass. Like you want to be able to explore
It's an
without
intimate
being crowded.
experience. Yeah.
So I kind of helped rearrange that a little bit, but it is her baby, like how she's laying it out, what's in there. I'm going to take charge on the coffee, though.
Of course, and the wines will be served there as well.
Yeah, it'll be the Puscifer canned wines, the 4-8 wines. We'll have some other ones in there, but mainly the Puscifer.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And how is Jen doing? Because I know that you had shared a couple years ago that she was, battling breast cancer as such a warrior. How is she doing?
Yeah. Well, she went ahead when she was going through all the chemo, the radiation, all that, the surgery and everything. She went ahead and dove headfirst into embracing life, because you never know how much you have left. And she is now a falconer. We have a hawk living in my goddamn studio right now.
Really?
Yeah, because when you're acclimating a hawk, you have to isolate it for about 30 days before you move it into its little house. So it's right next to my Versa climber. I can't get to the gym. But Yeah, it's down there. It's named Autumn, and she's doing well with it.
Wow, that is
Fantastic.
so cool. Did she always have a passion for raptors?
I think she's just crazy, like her husband.
that too, right?
But yeah, she as soon as she was ready to go, she dove back in on her 24-hour of Lemons race because she drives race cars
Right.
as well.
God, the two of you,
Yeah,
this true power couple.
yeah, but it's but definitely about organizing your thoughts and making sure you're kind of doing one thing at a time.
Yeah, I don't know how you guys handle it all, and it's now actually the year anniversary of the Merkin Vineyards and the Hilltop facility. Congratulations,
That's
first
going great.
anniversary.
Yeah.
This to me feels like a culmination of all of your work and passion through the years. Is that how it feels to you? This is a huge achievement.
It's expensive. I'll be paying that loan for the rest of my life.
It's a lot. It's a big undertaking.
Yeah, but it's a beautiful site. It has the two wineries. It has the Merkin Vineyards winery and the Caduceus Cellars winery. And along with the Merkin Vineyards site is also a full kitchen with the greenhouse and winery all attached to it. Beautiful view. Beautiful menu. It's all handmade pastas. We grow a lot of the vegetables. We have a greenhouse on site, gardens and orchards off site.
So cool.
The pastas are made with predominantly our chicken and duck eggs for the egg yolk pastas.
Wow.
The Caduceus side, of course, is a full facility, but we also have the Ventura room in that side, which is kind of the private appointment-only tasting. You can taste the wines over on the Merkin side, but that one is a 8 seats, appointment-only, full cellar, vineyard, greenhouse, barrel room tour.
Wow.
With a guided tasting with a kind of omakase style bites. That's the Ventura room.
That's unbelievable. I really have to come. And what's also very special is you have the Judith block, which is named after your mother. So tell me about that.
Well, I have several vineyards all over the state. Down in southern Arizona, we have about 120 acres, but only 65 planted, ready to plant the next 40. Northern Arizona, we have about 30 acres up north, 2 of which is the Judith block next to the house.
Yeah.
So yeah, quite a few varieties planted, quite a few varying ages of vines. We range anywhere from 1982 plantings all the way to last year.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And it just feels like this is really like a family affair. Of course, with the Judith block and your mother playing a huge role in your music, several songs named after her, and this is also her final resting place.
Yep.
Yeah.
Her ashes are on the vines.
Yeah. That's so symbolic. If your mother were here today, what do you think she would say to you?
I don't know.
She'd be proud of you.
Well, maybe. She'd probably also say, I need to grow my hair out, or sit up straight, or,
But what's interesting, it was your mother who at one point in your life suggested that you actually go live with your father.
Correct.
And that was where you actually were taught the love of taking care of the land, because you got to go to the Michigan farmland.
My dad's a high school teacher and wrestling coach. He taught earth science, biology, and environmental studies. But he also, of course, in the off season, worked at the local farms with various people, mainly Phil Eikenberry down the street, running the tractor. And we had our own garden, of course.
Yeah.
And orchards. We lived right in the middle of an orchard. So
it's so special that you got to really get that love of
well, when you live in those rural areas, that's just second nature. That's
Yeah.
just part of that's part of that living, as you understanding the cycles of those growing cycles.
Yeah. Speaking of growing cycles, I was very fortunate to attend your 60th celebration, the Sessanta tour.
Oh, great.
I went to the Hollywood Bowl date in April, which is right around your birthday. Wow, what a night that was. And I just want to thank you for that. Was that it was so fun. Is that how it felt for you?
Yeah, I mean, because you get into a groove with the songs that you know, and you play them every night, or switch the setup. But that's just kind of like you doing you. But then when you have a chance to sit back and watch another band play on the same stage, you kind of get a chance to just kind of relax and enjoy the show, even though you're part of the show.
Right.
So it's great having Billy and Les and Lair and Tim and everybody out there. It it was a good fun time.
It was so awesome. It was just not traditional. It wasn't like one band, then one band. Like it was so cool that it was this rotating, revolving door.
You know, we basically, one of the bands starts with 3 songs. The other people are kind of waiting on the little stage platforms, hanging out on the couches, having gin, and then rotate in the next band for 3 songs, and then rotate in the next band for 3 songs. It was a fun night.
It was so fun.
Yeah.
And you just announced there's going to be a second leg of the tour next year.
Yep.
So were you just like, we just got to keep this going?
Well, because of the timing, because Tool was on tour and I only had this small window to do Sessanta, we didn't get to go to a bunch of places. We didn't get any at all, the Pacific Northwest. We didn't get to Florida. We didn't get to Ohio. You know, there's a bunch of areas we just didn't hit. So because of there was a festival in the middle of Vegas, so we couldn't play Vegas.
Right.
So now we're gonna we're gonna go back to all the places that we didn't get to. But it's a fun tour.
It is so fun.
Yeah,
it's something not to be missed for sure. I'm telling you.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you've seen Primus and you've seen,
Yeah.
I mean, most people have seen Primus. Most people have seen Perfect Circle, but the one thing that makes it completely unique is just the presentation is a very Puscifer presentation.
Yeah, it's
a
very
Puscifer
artful.
Entertainment. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just that whole vibe is very Puscifer. It's Puscifer with a budget. Basically.
Right. I say that's actually a great way to say it.
Yeah.
Now, also in your 60th year, you received a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which you had been working towards for a while. Congratulations. That's a massive feat.
Yes.
What did that feel like, that accomplishment?
Felt like I wasn't ready.
Really?
Yeah. It's never.
Well, you're constantly learning. Isn't that the art of it?
Yeah. I mean, it's almost like you're starting over now. You have to, the basic foundations are there, and now it's more about teaching. So we have, we did a seminar at our academy a year and a half ago or so, and we filmed the seminar. And basically, what the seminar is it's kind of the introduction to jiu-jitsu, because a lot of people walking through the door now, they've never done a martial art, they've never done been involved in that kind of activity. They don't necessarily know how to control their bodies.
Right.
So it's very simple. I'm sure some of the workouts you've done, like the first time you did kettlebells, your body's just going, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So in order for us to explain some of these movements and some of these drills to start to learn the martial art, we need you to learn how to move your body. So part of the foundational introduction to jiu-jitsu has to start with you moving on the ground. And for some people, having a body on top of them is a traumatic experience. You never actually had someone trying to submit you, right? So it's kind of traumatic. But we kind of teach you initially in our gym, we teach you some of these initial body movements and body mechanics so that you have a foundation to start being able to absorb what it is we're trying to teach you. And that's what it is.
That's really cool, and that sounds exciting to me, because something I would love to do. I've tried MMA, I've tried Krav Maga. I find it to be very exhilarating and also empowering, because especially as a woman, I'd love to really learn self-defense.
Right.
So will you be offering like online seminars that people can?
No, we suggest that you, of course, we want you to come sign up for our school.
Yeah.
But there's schools all over the country.
You need to be in
But
person,
this is to kind of break down the intimidation barrier. So we're going to try to get this documentary out by the end of the year.
Cool.
Puscifer Entertainment is going to present it. So it's a good slice to understand. I think some people, they think that a martial art like a grappling or MMA martial art is the progression through the belts is about being able to control somebody better as you're progressing through the belts, but it's actually about controlling you. It's about self-control. It's about understanding how to have the mind-body connection of being able to recognize in a situation the correct reaction and having your body actually do it, right?
Yeah.
It's not about controlling you. Eventually it becomes about controlling the person, but it's about controlling you, self-control.
Yes. It's really about the assessment. It's like the assessment right off the bat, and then having the options and knowing what
Being
to do.
in the middle of that chaos and understanding how to maneuver the next step.
Well, the best example is when the fan came on the stage in like 1997, and you put him in this like rear naked chokehold. I mean, it was like I actually went back and watched the video again.
Right.
It was incredible.
Well, he wasn't threatening me.
Right. He was trying to hug you, I
He
think.
was trying to hug me.
But you really, I mean, that was That was like the best example.
He teed it up for me. But if he was actually trying to hurt me, that would have been a different story.
Right, exactly. But I just want to point out that if I watched it again, it was the most fluid. It was like a dance move. It was like a choreographed, beautiful.
And that takes drilling, and that takes understanding how to move your body first.
Yes, understood. Now, what's also cool is that Mike Tyson came in and trained at your facility for the big match coming up.
Yeah.
What was that like?
It was very last minute. We got a call from Tawny got a call, like, hey, this is so-and-so. I work with Mike Tyson. And she's, go on.
Right, right.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay. So it sounds crazy. I said, make sure you have a clear line to the back door.
Yes.
Call Clay, make sure he gets there. Call Jimmy. And then text me, I'm on my way. If it's a problem, don't call me, call the cops. Because you don't know, like I'm with that. It could be a crazy person.
Of course. Right? You have no idea if that's real or not.
And then she called and said, okay, it's actually him. So I jumped in my car and came down and made sure we locked all the doors and let him do his thing. Because I guess his wife was doing something in the area and he just needed a place to go.
It's unbelievable.
Work out. So
were you so flattered he came into your facility? That's pretty cool.
I'm still trying to track down who actually connected the dots for us.
Yeah.
But they looked in the area. They were looking for like photos in space to see what was there, and we had what they were looking for.
Right.
So they came in there.
That's cool. Were you like? How did you feel about it? Was that like one of those moments? Like Mike Tyson is here.
Well, yeah. I mean, you understand that this is a world-class athlete.
Right.
You also understand that statistically, somebody kind of took all the algorithms and all the breakdown of all the fights forever throughout the whole UFC career, and the trend is that once you hit right around 34 or 35, the odds of you winning drop to 20%.
Right.
Right. So that's a reality. There are definitely anomalies that go beyond that and do really well beyond the 35 mark, the 35-year mark. Absolutely, it's not written in stone, but the odds.
Of course.
And that so. A 57-year-old man.
He's 57.
Walking in there, having only been doing raves and cocaine for a little bit. I feel like that was he really is biting off a lot.
How old is Jake Paul?
12.
Not 57.
13.
Yeah, right.
Like that.
You're right.
So for him to roll in and really dive into that training, you see quickly how the muscle memory is there for him, and being in the same space when he's actually hitting a bag or hitting that pad, you're thankful that you're not the pad.
Yeah.
Because it's all the mechanics are still there.
Wow.
Yeah.
How cool to witness that firsthand. That's pretty special.
Yeah.
In a very intimate, in your own studio. That is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
How do you do all of it? This is not a rhetorical question. Like, how do you actually manage all the vineyards and collect grapes and
Delegate.
You delegate.
Yeah, you can't.
It's impossible.
Yeah, you can't do that. So, Chris and Jesse are the vineyard managers. They coordinate all those things. I am the winemaker for Caduceus, so I have to be there during harvest to receive fruit. So that's the one thing that I can say that I am there for the whole time, running, making the decisions, making the wine.
But that's a full-time thing, and it's
12 to 14-hour days.
Yes.
Yeah.
So where does music come in? Where are we now with music? Is music something that are you always thinking? Is it
you're always writing.
You're always writing.
There was an outlet. Yeah.
Yeah.
You just have to pick your moments. Matt usually comes out during harvest because even though they are 12-hour days, there might be 2 hours in the middle where we're waiting on something to finish up. The press takes 2 hours to cycle. So if we have stuff in the press, I have 45 minutes. So I run down to the studio, which is now occupied by a hawk.
Yes.
And do some recording.
That damn hawk.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where are you right now in this moment with music? Are you working towards? Because always working.
Yeah,
okay.
There's always something in the mix. Yeah.
So specifically with Tool music, because you have said, and Danny Carey said, it's not going to take hopefully another 13, 14 years before the next Tool album. Is this true? he said that something like there's still some music from Fear Inoculum left over that might be revisited.
He talks a lot. He's on tour now with the Beat Tour. With,
Right, I saw
with
that.
Adrian Ballou and
Yeah, that's super cool.
Steve Vai, and so, you know, it's an amazing
Yeah.
lineup. Yeah, it's really impressive. But he's out there,
Right.
so
Right.
if he's out there,
You're not working
they're not
on
in
the
there,
music.
and I can't do what I need to do
Yeah.
until they get in there and do the thing. So
Yeah, so a lot of it's schedules. You're all prolific creatives, working on other projects. So a lot of it is actually logistic.
Mm-hmm.
When you guys are finally together, what is the dynamic like that probably takes a lot of time, but that's the magic?
I'm able to organize my day and get things done. It's about making it a priority.
Yes.
That nothing else is more important than finishing this thought, finishing this thing, getting to the end of it. If you put anything in front of that, it's not going to get done.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
So put everything aside. Anything besides your kids and your wife are not a priority, and you just get it done.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it.
I see, yeah. When you and I first kind of connected when I was the head of Rock at Spotify, and I was on this mission to have Tool on the platform, well, yes, professionally, but honestly, it was more as a fan. I just wanted to have easy access to my favorite music. But I also wanted the younger generation to have access. For me, I was almost more passionate about the legacy of it, and I wanted the young people to have access to it.
I agree.
And finally,
And I
it
agreed.
was.
And I agreed for 20 years.
Yes, I know.
They finally caved.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now that it's finally out, how does it feel? This is what you had wanted this.
I feel like we missed the boat. Like, it started with downloads, 24 years ago, and then by the time we actually came out, downloads are done. So we missed 20 years of reaching 2 generations of people to understand what it is that we do. In a format that, I don't like listening to the MP3 version
Right.
of that thing. I listen to CDs and vinyl.
Yes.
But that's the gateway to get them into the vinyl and the CDs. And I feel like we made a mistake not being on those mediums for 20 years. Me every year saying we should do this.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, that's frustrating. But the fact that it's finally out was such a moment. It was such a historic and cultural moment, and it was like fans rejoiced, and it was this beautiful celebration.
Well, the fans that knew about it.
Right.
There's an entire 2 generations that didn't.
Right.
That's why the big surprise when we ended up bumping Taylor Swift off the chart
Yes.
for a second week. They didn't know who the people that understood.
Like, is this a new
I
artist?
don't know who is this. I don't even know who the
Yeah.
fuck this is.
Yeah, that was a very special moment.
Well, but I mean, that's the reality that people didn't know who we were because we weren't around. My son just finished law school, and his peers have no idea who we are. They weren't exposed to it. It's not on.
Right.
It's not on your phone.
Yeah. Also, it's just different now in general, not just how people consume music, but we've talked about this before, where you are who you are because of blood, sweat, tears, and years. The art and craft has to be perfected, no matter what it is that you do, and it takes that grit. Now, in a day and age, we live in a time where people, one, expect overnight success or count on it, and it can be achieved. But what is success, right? Like, what does that actually mean?
Attention.
Yeah, attention.
Which is not recognition.
Right. Do you have advice for people in this younger generation, or really anyone, who now in this day and age is aspiring to achieve something?
In the music?
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
Here's your advice. Save your money. Put it towards some courses in accounting with an eye to the future. Because what
is that? Right.
What are we going to do with the music? It's I don't know where to go from here. I'm used to being in a room full of people that are listening to each other and reacting to each other. And even with the newer version of that, where you're on your computer and you're sharing files to react to each other, people they're not understanding that the revenue stream for bands to continue to do that activity is not there unless they play live.
Right.
And no one's going to see live shows. And if you saw Paz, Lake Chantin posted a whole article about on Instagram about like go see live music.
Yes.
These people rely on you. They rely on you to pay their rent, and the smaller bands are struggling because you're listening on the computer, Spotify.
Are there any newer artists that you like? Do you listen to any new artists?
I'm sure there are. I just, nothing's coming to mind.
Are you familiar with Sleep Token at all?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, really cool band. I'd be interested to hear what you think about them. They're just very young. No one knows who they are. It's anonymous.
Right.
And it's it takes you on a journey. It's not like formulaic songs or anything like that. And it's very cross-genre. It's like kind of metal and hard rock based, but then there's like R&B elements, and it's just very classical. It's kind of very interesting. But they're like the real thing with cult following, like almost old school.
Okay.
Like merch sells out, and like their live shows are an experience, and it's really cool. I'd be interested to hear.
My wife, definitely, she's the one that turns me on to some of the more underground things. Because we do in-stores at the shop. And so having those people come through is fun to watch how the smaller bands are surviving these days. It's almost back to the early days of Alice Cooper in a band.
Yes. Exactly. Because rock hasn't been popular in so long that it had to go underground where it started.
Right.
And I have to tell you, it's awesome. It actually is alive and well. It's just not popular.
Right. It's not on your face.
Right. Yeah. But there's really great stuff happening, which I get excited about too, because I'm always like, like waving the torch and like.
Right. Well, we came up when there was this thing called, music television.
Right.
And then it went not so much music anymore, and then it became like just reality TV and no songs involved at all.
I know. Now people just find out about it where they can. I have one of my favorite albums here somewhere, is behind Betty White, that this album is turning 25 years next year. Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm feeling it.
This is the original beautiful version. I'm just like gonna sleep with it. And this was the debut album of Perfect Circle. And it was groundbreaking. Actually, there were some sort of statistics that I had written down about it, because I actually didn't know about this. Okay.
Good luck.
It entered the Billboard 200 at number 4, making it the highest ever Billboard 200 debut for a rock band's first album. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. What was the impetus to start a Perfect Circle? Because Tool already had so much success, and it already was a fixture. So tell me about A Perfect Circle, because I love A Perfect Circle just as much.
Billy was my roommate. He had some songs that he'd been sitting on in a shoebox for his whole life. He was never going to get them done. And so I had to be the guy going, the only way to get this done is to, do it.
Yeah.
So let's do it. Also, Tool was chasing their tails and not getting together to do it.
Okay.
And so I had time. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll do this, because you guys seem distracted with life, and I'll do that.
And I love A Perfect Circle for many reasons, because I know that as much as you love Black Sabbath's debut album, you also love Joni Mitchell's Blue album. And I love Tool and A Perfect Circle, and I really feel like I can hear influences from both so much, and lyrically, and I love that those are two of your favorite albums. Three Libras in particular is a song that I actually listen to most days. It's a meditative practice for me.
Okay.
That song is just very special. Can you just share anything about that song, how that song came about?
Well,
what inspired it?
I'm not really, I wouldn't call myself a person who's super into astrology, but it kind of ended up at some point realizing that there are clusters of people in my life around certain dates, and there are easily a dozen people at that time. A couple that came up later that I didn't know were in that period of time. It's not actually 3 people, it's 3 days of Libra.
Okay.
So it's the 26th, 27th, 28th, actually kind of extends into 29th. But that was the original impetus of it, is like realizing you had these cluster of people that all had similar behavior.
Interesting. And so the you don't see me, you don't see me.
That particular, if you're an astrology buff, those people are in love with being in love, not necessarily in love with you.
Right. The connection. Yeah.
But here's the other note of that. I also have men in my life that are from that cluster as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all of them are incredibly productive, focused, connected people, which is weird
It's
because
interesting.
women weren't, but the men were.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
I actually love learning about that. I think that's really cool.
Calvin, Matt, Gunnar, there's a whole group of people that are that period of time.
Wow. See, I don't think it's a coincidence. I think it's really interesting.
It's magnetics.
So Undertow celebrated 30 years last year, and Tom Morello is a friend of mine, and he shared with me that you guys were roommates at some point. I know he and Adam went to high school together, I believe.
I slept on Tom's floor once.
Yeah, right.
I was not his roommate. I slept on his floor once.
Okay. And I just would love to just hear about like the early days. He speaks so highly of you, and he actually said at one point you were a candidate to be in Rage Against the Machine.
See, there's all kinds of versions of that
No.
story. Yeah. He was kind of doing some music. I was kind of doing some music. At some point, he had just finished up. He had broken up the band Lockup.
Yes.
Definitely Google that shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, they actually had a record deal.
Yes, they did.
And then he literally thought his entire career was over when
Yeah.
they got dropped and that fell apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Best thing that could happen to him.
Exactly.
And then he was rehearsing. I can't remember if it was Brad in the room or whether it was Timmy or both.
I think it was Brad.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I was totally kind of moving more toward kind of the comedy world a little bit, and hanging out with the people in Green Jello. That was kind of where my head was at.
Right.
So when I rehearsed with them, I was like, I wasn't taking it too seriously because I had another idea in mind where I was going. And so yeah, I guess it was one rehearsal. So I don't know that it was like, I can't imagine that they even considered me for even a second.
I think you were considered.
Yeah, that wouldn't have gone well. But then, my other roommates were my neighbor, Danny, so it kind of went a different direction.
Yeah. When you connected with Danny and Tool started to come together, what were you guys setting out to achieve? Like, what was the goal or the mission?
I didn't really have one. It was more, I'd been in a band in Michigan. Didn't turn out well. The other people, God bless them, they weren't really in it as much as I
Okay.
wanted to be in it.
Yeah.
And if I go in, as you can see,
You're in.
winemaking, coffee.
I don't think you can do anything not at 110%.
I have to go 100%, and they just weren't really 100% in it. And so I kind of had a bad taste in my mouth from being in a band. So I ended up in LA to work on a whole other job. I think somebody had heard some of the stuff I'd done before, and they wanted to do a band. Let's do a band. I just was not interested, especially because I was seeing quickly around LA how the vampires come out pretty heavy. With people, there's some heat on these guys, there's some heat on these guys, then you just see them out of the shadows, just like, and they start clinging. It's like, that's ugly.
Yeah.
And then you'd watch guys that are up there like trying to cater to it. And I remember being at Club with No Name. Dale Gloria, God bless her. Hope she's doing well. Seeing bands play, and I'm the drunk asshole at the back of the room just going, fuck the hat, man, write a song. It's
Right.
just that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I guess I'd said something like that a couple times because somebody said, well, if you think you can do better, why don't you go do better?
And you did better. You did a lot better.
I just returned the call. I was like, okay, let's do it. So that was the beginning of '91, and by
It's wild.
first week of August, we'd had a record deal on the table and signed it on Thanksgiving the same year.
That's unbelievable.
So within 9 months, we had a deal from the conversation of somebody going, if you think you can do it better, okay, motherfucker, careful what you ask for.
You've always had so many passions. At what point did you realize that you really had a voice? Like literally and figuratively.
I still don't know that I do.
Oh.
I'm trying to work with what I have.
Wow.
And I guess that's the talent. If there's anything, it's knowing your limitations and working within your limitations with what you're hearing. So I'm not a classical vocalist at all. I saw Sammy Hagar play the other night, and he's just in the dressing room, and he just starts singing in the dressing room. It's like, that's a singer. That's a vocalist. That's what
So you wouldn't consider yourself a vocalist? I consider you one of the greatest singers.
No, not at all.
No.
I feel like I'm an instrument within the mix,
Right.
and I'm just trying to find my place within the arrangement that makes sense, that's not colliding with the rest of the stuff. So if anything, I'm very organized. I'm organizing a vocal within a context of songs, not necessarily a vocalist.
Wow.
Chris Cornell's a vocalist.
He's a vocalist.
Right.
I mean,
Freddie Mercury's a vocalist.
vocalist, yeah. So what do you think it is? What would you say is your superpower? Is that it? Just being able to recognize, you said, limitations and navigating within them?
Puzzles.
Yeah.
Puzzles is my superpower.
Wow.
Solving puzzles.
You have said that legacy is not about you. It's about laying groundwork and honoring your past and your family and going forward for your children. What do you hope that your children learn from you?
Puzzle solving.
Yeah.
That is the core of Jiu-Jitsu. It's learning how to solve the puzzles in front of you in real time. Same thing with the winery. When the grapes show up, we have a lot more time. When somebody comes up with a riff, I can lay back and solve the puzzle from a distance and kind of manage that time to solve the puzzle. But when the grapes show up, the grapes show up. When the person's, when you're sparring with somebody, that's right now. And you're having to solve those puzzles. And life is basically, that is a metaphor for life, solving puzzles. So if I can teach my kids how to effectively solve puzzles and navigate chaos, then, I feel like I've helped.
For someone who doesn't have that innate ability but wants to get better, how do you think they can? How can they get better at solving puzzles?
By accepting that you're going to fail. That's how you grow. The failure part is where you grow.
Right.
So getting it wrong, making a note of how you got it wrong, and building on the mistakes. The successes are great, but if you're successful every time, you're not really learning truly what it was that you were actually successful with.
Right.
So you have bands that come out with their first album, spent their whole life writing that one, and then they kind of have a decent one on the second record, but then the third one just goes bleh, because they've been in a bus now for 2 or 3 years.
Right.
And they didn't understand what it was that made these two successful, because they didn't fail.
Right.
You fail on your first record,
Right.
you're going to build on the second one better.
Yeah.
If you're a determined, stubborn bastard like me.
Thank you so much for spending the time with me. Honestly, I take notes from you. I'm so inspired by you, and I'm learning so much, even just sitting here.
All right.
Thank you. I love you. We'll be right back. You're the best. Please know that these moments where I get to sit down with a living legend and someone for whom I have the utmost respect and admiration does not get lost on me. I mean, these moments I am just soaking up and taking in. What an incredible person. I aspire to be like Maynard on many, many levels. Thank you so much for being part of the Allison Hagendorf Show presented by Cloudwater. A huge thank you to Danny Wimmer Presents. Thank you Arctic Zone for our guest gift bags. And most importantly, thank you. If you enjoyed today's episode, I would be honored if you subscribe to the channel, and I would love to hear from you. So please like, comment, rate, review, whatever you're feeling, and reach out to me on socials at Allison Hagendorf. Let's connect. Let me know who I should interview next and what made you smile today. Until next time, let's be kind to ourselves and each other, and I'll see you soon.